Sometimes you are the windshield and sometimes you are the bug. Wednesday night, the Magic were the bug. And what that reveals about them today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is January 16th, 2025. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic take one on the chin. They do not play Orlando Magic basketball, but the Magic's lack of effort and how they lost to the Milwaukee Bucks tells us about the deep-seated problems with this team. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. No matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. And you can make Locked On Magic even bigger part of your day with the Locked On Magic Daily Newsletter, the one-stop for ultimate team and league coverage, delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Magic Newsletter. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Let's rip off the Band-Aid. If you're watching on YouTube, you see the score. I put it in the rundown. Bucks 122, Orlando Magic 93. Another big game, another game that had major consequences that the Magic just didn't show up for. And look, I don't think we should overreact to one loss. And especially at this juncture. The Magic are down to 10 healthy players. They're missing, 3 of their 5 starters? One of those starters is still on a minute restriction as he comes back from a month-long absence. This is not the Orlando Magic. Plain and simple. This roster is not the team that's going to play in the playoffs. At least we hope so. This is not who they are. And I think nights like this are what we thought was going to happen more often when the Magic lost Paolo Banchero to the oblique injury, and certainly when they lost both Paolo and Franz to the oblique injury. This is a deeply flawed roster as it is, and taking away several key players, including in this game, Goga Bitadze, who missed the game with the concussion symptoms. He's in the concussion protocol now. Taking away Jalen Suggs, who's out with a low back strain. Paolo Banchero is still kind of on a minute restriction as he recovers from the torn oblique. All of these things. This is not who when the Magic face the Bucks in the playoffs, and I'm still very much believing that's going to be our playoff series, whether we start in Milwaukee in game 1 or start down here in Orlando. The Magic will be a very different team. And so I don't want to judge them and make this game bigger than it is. The Magic had a bad day. And as we know from the last decade, when you have teams with talent deficits, when you have a bad day, those bad days get bad. And so this is a confluence of a lot of things. Paolo wasn't great. Cole Anthony, their second scorer, wasn't great. Wendell Carter was trying to be aggressive. He couldn't shoot. Everything didn't work. And the Magic are right not to use this as an excuse. They're right to say our injuries are not an excuse. We are capable and able to win these games. And the reason that we're even still talking about home court advantage is because they are able to do all that. It is frankly a shocker that the Magic have not had more nights like this where it just doesn't work. Now, I'll grant you this. It is mildly concerning to me that we've had 2 of these games now in the last 2 weeks. I would count the Utah Jazz, the loss of the Jazz, as a game very similar to this, where the Magic just did not play with the requisite energy. And that's the key here. We know a lot about this team already. And I've seen the comments like, what more do we need to know about this team? We know its weaknesses. I'm going to give you the obvious statement here in a minute. We know this team plays with tons of energy. And that energy makes up for a lot of things they don't have. Just plain and simple. The Magic's energy makes up for a lot of things they don't have. It makes up for their poor shooting. It makes up for it makes their defense work. The thing that their whole season and identity is based off of. And so when the Magic don't play with the proper effort, all of those weaknesses come back to the forefront. All of those weaknesses are present and make everything up. The Magic know they're not going to shoot well. Like, again, I know the Magic need to get better at shooting. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that's not a problem. The Magic need to acquire more shooting. They need their shooters to shoot better. They need their playmakers to create better shots, to get guys in rhythm. The Magic need to shoot better. And after shooting 46 threes in this game, after shooting 12 for 46 in this game, the Magic lost this game plain and simple because they couldn't shoot. Plain and simple. Orlando took 95 shots to Milwaukee 72. They forced 21 turnovers for 19 points. They got 9 offensive rebounds and scored, 12 points off of that? 10 second chance points, 3 for 9 on second chance points, which is not good. They need to be better at that too. If you look at the numbers for the whole game, at least, this is a game the Magic should be competitive in. They checked a lot of the boxes they have to check. But because they didn't come out with energy, because they settled for threes early, shooting 3 for 3 of their first 15 shots, taking 46 threes. It's the 8th time this year they've taken 46 threes, so 3 and 5 in those games, or 45 or more threes, so 3 and 5 in those games. Because they didn't attack the paint, scoring just 32 points in the paint to Milwaukee's 54, Orlando didn't stand a chance. They once again, and again, very similar to the loss of the Jazz, except the Jazz, no offense, David, are a bad team. The Magic weren't competitive. And so when you take away this important element of the Magic's energy, it's painfully obvious how much the Magic need shooting. How much the Magic need to find a different way to create energy. It can't just be their defense. It can't just be their spark plugs. It probably needs to come from Paolo a little bit. I don't want to hold him too much to task because he's working on himself. But throughout this season, the Magic have gotten players to step up. They have seen players step up to the plate over and over and over again. And in this game, they reached back and it wasn't there. Why it wasn't there, that's the mystery. Because the Magic had 2 days off. Now, again, the Magic aren't going to use this as an excuse. They're injured. They are very injured. And at a certain point, you are stretched too thin. And again, it's like a domino. It's like a domino effect here. Paolo's doing all he can. And he's playing 26 minutes. He's not playing his full minutes yet. He's still processing and getting up to speed. The Magic needs someone else to step up, and just consistently, no one really did, or at least no one really did when the game was on the line. And ultimately, playing with the lack of energy means the defense stunk. The Bucks made tough shots. They shot 60% from floor, but they made tough shots. There was no resistance. I hate to say it because I don't always believe in this. The Magic probably needed to put someone on their butt. They probably needed to knock someone over. And frankly, I don't think the Magic had the energy today to play that kind of physical basketball. Wendell Carter said it after the game. They got out physical. Both Mose and Carter said they got a butt whooping. and they used butt whooping and used the more colorful language. Mosley said this is not Orlando Magic basketball. It's not Orlando Magic basketball. But we know what this team's weaknesses are. Like, again, I'm not breaking any news telling you the Magic can't shoot. I'm not. I can make it look pretty, but the Magic couldn't shoot. And if the Magic had made some shots early and gotten some confidence early and gotten into the flow early, this is a very different game. But because the Magic struggled so much right out of the gate, because that energy wasn't there, Milwaukee pounced and took the game from them. That's what good teams do. And it's not to say that the Magic aren't a good team. The Magic just don't have the reserves to make mistakes. They made too many critical errors and suffered a devastating and frankly embarrassing loss. It's the NBA, though. You always have a chance to respond. And Friday in Boston against a struggling Celtics team that lost to the Raptors on Wednesday, the Magic will get their chance to respond. But to be sure, they're going to need to play with the effort and intensity that is befitting of the Orlando Magic. Without that, they have no chance because they do not shoot well enough. And that's that. So let's go through the box score, continue picking at the scab, continue peeling off the Band-Aid, putting this one to rest. We're going to go through the box score. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and they have a variety of bets to keep every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings, whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs. FanDuel has you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by our friends over at Skims. When I found out Skims was making underwear for men, I was intrigued because, I don't think about underwear and they look pretty darn comfortable on TV. Those models were, not something that I will ever I can aspire to, but, underwear's nice. I've heard so much about their quality from friends and family, so I had to give it a try. Let me tell you, it lives up to the hype and frankly more. Again, you don't want to think about underwear, but as you grow older, as maybe you change a little bit, finding the right fit, comfort, or just finding the right style to make you forget about your underwear is paramount. Skims changed all of that. Their men's line offers something for everyone from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with perfect balance of comfort and style. I tried the Skims boxer brief, and frankly, I am hooked. I've always been a boxer guy. I'm just now experimenting with briefs, something a little bit different for me. Frankly, I am surprised and shocked by how comfortable they are. And Skims is by far the most comfortable brand that I have ever worn. Whether I'm working out or just running errands, they're the most comfortable and reliable underwear I have ever owned. Plus, the lightweight material feels amazing, almost like you're wearing nothing at all. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com/LockedOnNBA and Skims stores. Let them know we sent you. So after you place your order, select podcasts in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Check it out today at skims.com/LockedOnNBA. We're going to run through the box score here in our middle segment just to kind of get this out of the way. I want to calm some nerves coming up here at the end of the show. But there's not a lot positive to say about this one. Again, like if you follow me, I'm kind of the realist. I'm very much the don't get too high, don't get too low. One loss isn't a big deal. The reason why I'm more concerned about this is it's very reminiscent of the loss to Utah. So now we've had 2 of these losses over the last couple of weeks. And again, the team's not going to use this as an excuse, nor should they. And I'm very glad that they're not. I'm glad that they are a little angry with themselves for how they played. But these injuries have really gutted the team. And with the news that Corey Joseph was dealing with an illness and he still ended up playing in this game, I do kind of suspect there's an illness bug working its way through the team, and that could lead to the low energy play that we saw. They're injured, they're hurt, they're stretched very thin. The margin for error is very, very small. Getting off to such a bad start. They were down 34-16 in the first quarter. I believe they gave up, if my math is correct, a 19-0 run after they took a 9-8 lead. They went nearly 5 minutes in the first quarter without scoring a basket. It was a rough evening for the Magic. Again, like, shots didn't go down. Like, the thing you have to realize, like, I know everyone that the Magic are going to have to make shots to win in the playoffs. Like, let's not pretend otherwise. The Magic can win without shooting. Like, yes, the Magic need to find three-point shooting, and they'll do that either at the deadline or in the offseason. It's got to be a priority for this team. They got to find a way to make offense easier for Paolo and Franz. They got to find a way to make their jobs easier. Otherwise, they're going to be overused and exposed to injuries again. And then you're going to be back in this situation. But look, this team was always going to have it hard. Because Paolo has to carry a lot of weight, and he's not all the way back yet. He's playing, but he's not Paolo. He's Paolo with a lowercase p, not Paolo with a capital P. They need a Cole Anthony to step up. They need someone else to give them a boost right now. Or they need their defense to be elite. And when you don't play with effort, your defense isn't elite, and you end up with a game like this. They happen during the season. Again, this team is very stretched thin. Like, we can all see it. We can see the exhaustion in this team trying to rally. And frankly, I am surprised they've not had more nights like this. I was expecting more nights like this where it's just like they don't have it tonight. And again, it's no one's fault. It just is. But the Magic can win without shooting when they defend. And the Magic didn't defend in this game. Like, they didn't set themselves up to defend at the very least because they just jacked up threes. Orlando ended up shooting just 32 field goal attempts in the paint. They were 16 for 32 in the paint. Milwaukee was 27 of 38. They scored 54 points to the Magic's 32. The Magic cannot win if they don't control the paint, if they don't win the paint. And credit Milwaukee. They understood very early in the game that the Magic were not shooting well. They went zone. They kept a lot of size in the paint. They closed down gaps. They said after the game that they were really focused on attacking Paolo defensively before he could put his dribble down or as he put his dribble down so that he didn't have space to kind of get going and get his body into defenders. This was by far Paolo's worst game since his return. He still put up numbers, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 8 for 20, 2 for 7 from 3, 7 3-point attempts from Paolo tells you a little something as well about how he was settling. But again, 6 for 13 from inside the arc is fine. He was 4 for 5 from the foul line. I don't think he got the free throw line to the second half. Again, Magic just weren't able to kind of get that push downhill. Paolo had 7 turnovers, though. And look, I think early on, Paolo was trying to do the right thing. He was attacking quickly along the baseline. That's kind of the lane that the Bucks were giving him, and whipping passes to the opposite corner to get guys open shots. They missed those shots. You can live with that. The Magic took a lot of contested threes, a lot of threes where they didn't get that drive downhill or that paint touch. Those are bad threes. Magic took a lot of those bad threes in this game. But 7 turnovers is a lot. 7 of the Magic's 13 turnovers, and that took Paolo out of the game too. And look, that cannot happen. The Magic need Paolo to be all-star Paolo at least until Franz or Jalen Suggs are back. Being this undermanned is really tough for the Magic. Like, just really, really tough. And again, just Paolo wasn't what the Magic needed. Now, again, I want to give him some grace. I really do, because he is very clearly still working his way back in. He's still kind of testing himself, and the processing speed isn't all there yet. It comes and goes. Sometimes it's really good. Other times it's not. How long are we going to give him that grace? I don't know, but it's been less than a week. It's been only 3 games. I think Paolo, until he's playing his full minutes, we probably have to expect some hiccups still. It's going to be a little bit of a process with Paolo, especially with a roster that doesn't have many shooting threats. Again, like getting Kentavious Caldwell-Pope involved is still a big task. He was 3 for 9, 8 points, 2 for 7 shooting from 3. In the first half, Kenny only had 2 shots. He was 0 for 1. Like, Kenny's New Year's resolution was to be more aggressive. When he got the ball, he was aggressive. The Magic have to find a way to get him involved. And I do think that is a weakness in this Magic offense, is Kenny sometimes gets kind of caught in the background. The Magic need Kenny right now. He is a good option for them because so many of the Magic's other, like, more reliable offensive options just aren't really there. Wendell Carter, I thought, had a really nice game in a lot of ways. 12 points, 10 rebounds, 2 steals. He was the primary defender on Giannis. Giannis finished with 26 points on 11 for 15 shooting, 4 for 8 from the foul line, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. He had 6 turnovers. Carter deserves a lot of credit for helping with the turnovers. When Carter was defending Giannis, I do think that Giannis had a tough time scoring and a tough time attacking the basket. Carter, I thought, played really good individual defense. A lot of Giannis's points came when he was able to get switches, and especially in transition. And Carter used his fouls pretty smartly. He got into a little bit of foul trouble. That got him in trouble, but I thought he did well. Carter, though, was 3 for 12 from the floor. It's 2 for 4 from 3 and 4 for 5 from the foul line. So there's some good aggression there from Carter. I like that Carter was aggressive, but again, he missed shots. Like, he missed some bunnies. He missed some shots he's got to make. And frankly, Brook Lopez spooked this team. Brook Lopez had 5 blocks in the game. And I think he blocked a shot pretty early on. And from that point forward, the Magic were afraid to attack the basket. And again, I know this team is not a good shooting team. I'd rather the Magic miss shots than pass open shots. If they are passing up open shots, the defense wins. That's what happened in this game. The Magic were passing up open shots to take contested threes, and they were not attacking the paint to take jacked up threes. It's all connected. And so, you go through the whole Magic list. Like, Tristan Da Silva went scoreless. He was 0 for 4, 0 for 3 from 3. Da Silva's going to go up and down. He's a rookie. He looks like a rookie. As well as he's played, he looks like a rookie. He shouldn't be starting. He might get there, and he has his great moments, but, you're either getting all or nothing with it. Cole Anthony, 11 points, 5 for 13 shooting, 1 for 5 from 3. He had 9 assists. Give Cole credit. That dude fought, but the Magic need him to get downhill, finish at the rim, finish in the paint. He missed a lot of shots. And again, that is just going to kind of happen. Caleb Houston was 2 for 7 from 3. Anthony Black finished with 10 points on 3 for 8 shooting, missed 3 free throws. He was 4 for 7 from the foul line. Jonathan Isaac had 9 points, 4 for 8 shooting, missing all 3 of his 3-pointers. Had some good moments. More than anyone else, though, J.I., I think, is rushing his shots and trying to take shots for the sake of taking shots. Trevelin Queen scored 13 points on 5 for 11 shooting. He was 3 for 6 from 3. A lot of that coming in the fourth quarter when the game was decided. The Magic just did not have enough offensive force. Like, they couldn't generate good looks. And the one moment of the game when they looked competent was the second quarter. They forced 5 turnovers in that quarter. They cut the deficit down to 13. Just like the game against the Heat, it was like, just get it to 12. Get it to 12. Get over that hump. The Magic couldn't get over that hump, and they never challenged again because the offense just wasn't working. And maybe they found some things later in the game, but it was all academic. It was all done. And the Magic's defense was just not present. It was just not providing resistance. The Bucks had everything working. The Magic were clearly discouraged. They were playing without the energy and physicality they need. And that's how you lose 122-93. It is worth pointing out, not that the Magic would have won this game. Bucks won the game, by far the better team. The Magic managed the rest of the game. Second quarter, they lost 28-25. Third quarter, they lost 30-27. Fourth quarter, they lost 30-25. The Magic's offense was not as bad as you think. And I'm still a big advocate of this, that the Magic's offense is not as bad as we think. But the first quarter was so bad at 34-16, the Magic had no chance. Again, it's about energy. And the Magic have always been able to count on their energy, and it just wasn't there this night. And that's why the Magic lost, plain and simple. Make shots, play with energy. Your energy makes up for your missed shots. It's not rocket science. The Magic games are not rocket science, to be perfectly honest. It really isn't. But there it is. The Magic fall to the Milwaukee Bucks 122-93. Let's talk standings implications. Let's talk about where the Magic were last year at this time, coming up here in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's more than 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 per month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. Like I said, let's not make a mountain out of a molehill. Nothing we saw Wednesday night is something we didn't already know. I did my thing on the offense. I am still convinced there's a good offense in the Magic. I am honest to God convinced that when this team is healthy, the Magic will be an average offense. I'm not even asking for top 10, top 15. I think with Paolo and Franz, the Magic will function. And obviously, this was a bad Paolo game. He's still working his way back. The Magic will have to make shots at some point. They're going to have to make shots in the playoffs when they get there. There's nothing we didn't know already. And so I don't want to dwell too long on this game. The only reason I would dwell on this game is that now we have a little bit of a pattern. They did this against Utah. If they come out lethargic and lackadaisical against Boston, then we have a problem. It's about strings of games. But I also see this working its way around. We talked a little bit about the standings earlier in the week. The standings are tightening. We expected this to be a battle all the way to game 82 for whatever seeding the Magic are going to be in. And that is still 100% the case. Looking at the standings after this game, after all the games on Wednesday, the Magic are now 5th in the East. They're a half game behind the Bucks, 22-17. Orlando's 23-19. They played 42 games. Milwaukee still only played 39, so there's 3 games kind of hanging in there. Maybe Milwaukee wins them all, and now they're 2 games ahead of the Magic. Maybe Milwaukee goes 2-1, and now they're 1 game ahead of the Magic. The Bucks are 4th in the East right now. I think we can say that pretty safely. Orlando is a half game ahead of Indiana. Indiana is 7-3 in their last 10 games. They just had a big win streak snapped by Cleveland. Indiana's made their push. Orlando is a game ahead of Detroit at 21-19, playing 2 more games than the Pistons. Pistons are 8-2 in their last 10. They're a game ahead of Atlanta for 8th at 21-19. So if you're looking at those standings and worried about the Magic's position, it's warranted. Orlando's only 4-6 in their last 10. They are the only team in the top 10 in the Eastern Conference that is under 500 over their last 10 games. The Magic are treading water, if not taking on some water right now. And again, look at what's going on with this team. Jalen Suggs has been out. Franz Wagner's been out. They were missing 3 of their top players until 3 games ago. And now Paolo Banchero's back and starting to work his way in, and they're just dealing with a litany of injuries. Let me remind you then that at this time last year, the Magic went through the same thing. They were 3rd in the East after their 9-game win streak. Made that big push. Built a cushion. Built a little bit of a lead. And then struggled. Struggled with injuries. Struggled with illness. Just struggled to get through some of the dog days of the season. And they got to this point and fell. They were 1 or 2 games over 500 at their lowest point in that stretch in January. They fell to 8th in the East. I was staying with my cousin in New York. He's a big Magic fan. And he said, like, we have to beat the Knicks or we're going to be 8th in the East. And I was just like, and I remember even telling him there, like, man, calm down. We know when the easy part of the schedule is coming up. It's coming up in March. Just be cool. Every season has these ups and downs. Teams are making their pushes. They're kind of burning bright early. The Magic will be fine. It's bleak right now. If I'm not mistaken, the Magic have won just 11 of their last 19 games. The Magic have not won consecutive games since Christmas. Nearly a month ago. The Magic are treading water right now. And treading water means you are losing ground. You're not keeping up with the teams in front of you. The teams behind you you've given the teams behind you a chance to catch up. But that is not the concern. Because like I said when I went over the schedule on Tuesday, the Magic are going to be made whole. They're going to get Franz and Jalen back, and they're going to play with Paolo. And we're going to see how good this team really is. And whether the Magic are able to stay with Milwaukee, that's going to, like, Milwaukee is the team that I worry about because they're really good. Like, we've seen them 3 times. They're really dangerous. They're really good. They figured some stuff out. We'll see if Indiana sticks with it too. But we knew this was going to be that kind of a hunt. The Magic built themselves enough of a cushion and survived enough without their key players to put themselves in this position that this is their base. Now, just because the Magic are getting their stars back does not guarantee anything. Just because the Magic, at least according to Positive Residual, have the second or third easiest schedule remaining in the league does not guarantee anything. The Magic have to win these games. But this is the experience the Magic were supposed to gain last year. They have been through this before. They have gone through these ups and downs before. They know how good they are. If the Magic didn't make the playoffs last year, I don't think they survived the way that they've survived this year. They know what they have to do to win. And now it's just frankly about performance. But everything's going to be all right. Just like Indiana had this big push. Just like Atlanta had that big push around the NBA Cup games. Just like Detroit made this big push. Orlando's going to have a stretch like that too. Orlando's got an 8 of 10 in them coming up later this month. They've got a 7 and 11 or 7 and 12 or an 8 and 12. An 8 of 12, not 8 and 12. They've got that push in them too. Orlando hasn't used it yet. They got another one in them. And we know again how good this team can be. Things look dark right now. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Like, the standings are tightening. And we expected them to be this tight at the beginning of the season, and we hoped that the Magic would run away with it, and they're not. Injuries and circumstance have prevented them from running away from it. It's going to be a fight to the end of the season. What you want is control. That's what the Magic had and nearly gave away last year. The Magic want control. And they have control. They control their destiny for the 4 seed. Maybe not as much anymore. They're going to need Milwaukee to fall a little bit. Milwaukee's got a tough schedule ahead. Orlando's still got, 3 games against Washington, 2 games against Charlotte, at least 2 more games against Toronto, 2 games against Portland. They still play a lot of the dregs of the league. That's where the Magic are going to have to bake up some wins. Losing that game against Utah's big. Orlando is right where they want to be still. But they got to break out of this trough, just like they did last year. They got to find their way through this. Every season has. Boston is going through it right now, too. The Magic will play the Celtics on Friday. They just lost to Toronto. Their 3-point shooting is betraying them a little bit. It's been rough for the Celtics as well. But the Magic have to find a way. And that's going to be the ultimate test right now. Can the Magic keep this boat steady until they get some relief? Whether it's relief from the schedule, whether it's relief from injuries, wherever that relief comes. The Magic just have to find a way to keep it going. Wednesday night's effort's obviously not going to do the job. They know that. They don't need us to tell them that. They saw it, they played it, they witnessed it. They got to do something about it. They often have done something about it. What did they do after they lost to Utah? They went to New York on a back-to-back and beat the Knicks. Granted, without Cat, but they beat the Knicks on the road. Why couldn't they beat the Celtics, who are struggling a ton? Why not? They're good enough. But they got to do it. And they are certainly more than capable. That's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the links on podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us there on Twitter at @OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. As if all that's not enough, you can now find the Locked On Magic podcast in a daily newsletter form. It's the one-stop for ultimate team and league coverage. Deliver it right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start today with the all-new free Locked On Magic newsletter. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. For Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.